Hi, my name is Zach Benson, and I am an independent pop musician and producer from Virginia.
Everything reminds me of you.
Growing up, I was really obsessed with music and pop culture from a really early age. I remember watching Avril Lavigne and Fall Out Boy and My Chemical Romance music videos and being like, oh, this is it. This is what I want to be doing. I was always sort of in love with singing, and then I started taking piano lessons. I learned how to play the drums and the guitar, and I would pretty much take any opportunity I could to perform. I was a drummer in a bunch of different bands back in high school. I would be in the school plays and the musicals. I did open mic nights by myself. I would put my stuff up on the internet for free just for people to watch. And honestly, from 7th grade until the time I graduated high school, I pretty much didn't go a month without performing at least once or twice. Once I graduated high school though, I had it in my mind that I needed to give it all up and sort of have a typical college experience. And that's what I did for a year. I didn't make music. I sat in my dorm and I made friends. And I just tried to sort of fit in to what I thought everyone wanted me to be. And I very quickly realized that I hated that. I started teaching myself production throughout my freshman and sophomore year of college. I would just sort of do covers and mashups and sort of manipulate audio however I could. And eventually I realized I had a lot of things I wanted to say. I had never really gotten the chance to talk about my experiences as a queer person. I had never really gotten the chance to talk about my own relationships or my own anxieties. I started making pop music, and eventually I had a few songs that I was ready to share with the world. I used TuneCore to distribute my music just because I didn't realize how easy and simple it could be to send your music out to all the streaming platforms. I thought it was this long, convoluted, expensive process, but then TuneCore was like, nah baby, it's just a few clicks. I put up my first 3 songs on an EP called Pretty back in 2017, sent it out through TuneCore, and started my artist career then. From there, I just became obsessed with making music and getting it up and putting it out for people to hear. I was playing shows again, I was traveling, I was taking myself kind of seriously as a musician for the first time. And eventually I looked up from what I was creating and saw that there were hundreds of people singing my songs back at me at shows. All of this led to my first album that came out in October of 2020 called Hopeless Romantic. It was a culmination of the last 2 years of trying to make music and find my sound, and I'm just really, really proud of that body of work. My goal throughout my songwriting and my artistry is sort of just to be the person that I needed when I was 15 or 16 years old. I wasn't very aware of many out LGBTQ plus musicians when I was growing up. Whenever I put out music or put on a show or put out even just a social media post, I just want people to see a happy, confident, queer person, and hopefully that just makes someone feel a little bit less alone. For the last few years, I've been curating this charity project with my friends Tori and Maggie called Power to the Queer Kids. Music was the #1 thing I turned to when I was coming out and figuring out who I was, and I wanted to honor that by getting a bunch of LGBTQ plus musicians together and asking them to cover songs that are meaningful to their queer identities. All the money from that directly goes to suicide prevention resources for LGBTQ plus youth. And Power to the Queer Kids Volume 3 is now officially out, distributed via TuneCore. My future goals are just to continue to make as much music as possible. Being able to remain independent and not be on someone else's schedule is so important to me. I'm constantly creating, not just for myself, but for different people, and being able to work on my own schedule has been so liberating and has allowed me to feel like I can be my most creative self. I just love music. I just love making music so much, and I can't wait to keep creating and telling my story in the future.
Buried in the moonlit sky.